Hey everyone, and welcome to part 11 of my blinds playthrough of Hollow Knight. As you could probably tell, my voice is not syncing up with what is going on the camera, and that is because this is going to have to be post commentary. Unfortunately, my recording did not take. I got the game audio, but I didn't get my audio for whatever reason. I'm still looking into what exactly happened. But before I even go further into that, what I'm explaining right now on the camera is that when I was going to check on the grub corpse to see if I could use a dream nail on him, I ended up in a fight with this guy right here. I forget what he's called. I called him the bully before, and he broke a hole in the wall, like giving this opening up this passage. I wasn't even planning on recording here. So you could see it took me like 2 hits to kill him because I was in the middle of a fight when he smashed the wall, and I couldn't believe it. I ran to the side and then started recording to tell you guys what had happened. But yeah, now that I have a little bit of time while I'm exploring, because I have no idea what's going on here, and I'm just kind of talking about what I'm thinking right now. But so yeah, I'm gonna look into what exactly happens with my audio. There have been times where I forgot to turn on my audio interface. This wasn't one of those times. It just, for some reason, something happened, and it probably was my fault, but I'm not really sure yet. I've already gotten everything working, but I actually there were 2 ways that I decided I could actually do this for you guys to try and fix this problem. One of them was the post commentary idea, which obviously is what I'm doing right now. But it wasn't my first idea. What my first idea was that, well, clearly, for the continuity of the Let's Play, I need to start a new game and get back there, because the things that I did over the course of this episode, I can't redo. I run into a boss or 2, or 3 actually. Not really bosses, but you know the way this game works. So unfortunately, I couldn't redo any of it. So I actually created a new save file and basically speed runned it until I speed ran it until I got not everything that I had, but at least that I had the same bosses down. And I was prepared to go with that and then just play a not blind playthrough. But I was really torn because it felt like I wasn't sure whether or not that was the way to go. It's a blind playthrough. You can't hear what I'm saying, but at least it's the actual footage from when I was playing it blind. And this is just kind of what I decided to go with. I guess that being said, this episode I'll be given the freedom to actually talk about some stuff that I usually try to talk about during the episode, but it never really works out because I'm too busy trying to remember where I am or trying to fight something, or all the multitude of things that happen during a Let's Play when you're speaking live as you're playing. In this episode, one of the first things that I had been planning on saying, that I probably have already said or I'm in the process of saying right now, is that I was planning on I made a huge list. It's not really huge, but I made a list of all the things, like all of the places that we couldn't access, and that we still needed something to get through. Or all of the question mark locations, instead of just relying on the map and the pins that we have. I decided to go ahead and make a spreadsheet for myself just to keep it all. And in the beginning of this episode, I was planning on going through that list and talking about what I wanted to do, and or at least what things that we could do in this one. And it didn't actually end up working that way. What ended up happening was I ended up as this episode unfolded, it kind of took us off in a direction that just kind of kept going, and which really is unfortunate, because if I had just gone around finding little things, it really would have worked a lot better. But instead, what ended up happening was that I ended up killing some bosses that there was no way for me to reverse what I had done and to do it again. And so here we are. But you can see right here, I made it through this weird alcove. I got that achievement, and I got that charm. Actually, even right now, I'm not sure what that charm does. I pretty much had finished. I had finished recording and was just about to. I always double check my my recording and just see how it came out, like vocal levels and all that, and see if I need to edit anything before I send it. And that's when I found out that my own voice was not actually audible. Like you couldn't hear me. But yeah, hopefully that this is, you know, this is really the best I could do outside of, and again, I have a second save file that is actually caught up to this one. I just don't have, I didn't painstakingly scrounge the map for, you know, masks and soul vessel shards. So I don't have as many of those. But yeah. Anyway, that be that as it may, it is what it is. I'll if anyone in the event that this is not the way to go, feel free to like leave a comment and tell me that, because now that I really did go that far as to catch up, so I have a backup that at least is fairly caught up. We have like all of the abilities that this character has, and it didn't even take that long. Apparently, when you're not scrounging the entire map for everything, you know, or even just you know where you're going, it takes a lot less time. I pretty much beelined through all of the things from, you know, False Night to oh, I suppose I should mention that. So I was actually on my way back from checking on checking the grub, or I'm sorry, on checking on the grub and if you can use the dream nail, and you totally can. It didn't actually make the footage here because even though I recorded myself fighting, it's what's called the failed champion. It's basically a hard version of the false Knight. I couldn't even get him out of his first phase. I hit him and I started counting the amount of times I was hitting him before he got me, and I made it to 20 hits, and it still was not enough to get him out of phase 1, which, if I'm correct, it seems to me that he is just a harder version. So there are still, I think, I guess technically 4 phases, I think, if there were, but you have to knock him down 3 times before the grub head pops out of the helmet for you to start attacking the grub proper. But yeah, so you totally can do that, and I am gonna go back to him later. That'll be on camera because I didn't want to waste so much footage going all over the map and searching these places. For example, there are two other things on my list were in Green Path. I wanted to also try dream nailing the I don't know if anyone remembers it back when we first defeated Hornet at the end of, I think it was like episode 2 or so, and episode the following episode was when we had the Moonwing cloak, and there was like a little bug on the ground with like a nail in his head, and that's who we pick up the cloak from. I wanted to see if now that I have the dream nail, if maybe some sparklies were on him, but there weren't. And I also double checked to see if I tried crystal dashing across. I still don't know what to call that, across the Lake of Un. But the other side is a wall that I can't. You basically, it doesn't lead. It leads to a wall, and so you can't really do anything. What I did manage to do is at the very least to decide that the Lake of Un idea is still an interesting one, but I think that we need to wait until, if there's a way to, I'm calling it acid swim. At least that's what I have in my notes. If there's a way to swim in acid, I think I'm going to try again, because it reminds me so much of Super Metroid, where there's that one acid pool, where like that one lake of acid where you eventually need to climb down into it to find a new area, and it reminds me so much of that. So I'm going to try that when the time comes, but we're not there yet. Let me see. I think the one last thing that I did was that I was looking forward to was, and again, I recorded all this, it just didn't make it to the cut. I ended up going to to that shiny that was at the poison pool that I had tried to get when I had the what is it called? I think it's called the Moonwing. I do think it's called the Moonwing cloak. But it turned out to just be a Hollow Nest seal or whatever they're called. Those things you sell for 450 geo. So okay, so now this is okay. So finally we're getting into some interesting stuff. So I decided here that what we're gonna do is I have the simple key already. I don't get that simple key, but I get the elegant key because I've decided what we're gonna do is go to the City of Tears, and we're gonna start our search for new and cool things by grabbing those, using the key that we have and grabbing the elegant key and trying to open up those 2 doors. One of them is in the Soul Sanctum, and the other one is on the bottom floor before you reach the Soul Sanctum in that same building, where there's almost like there was a gate, almost like a gate on the floor that you needed a key to open, and so that's what we decided. That's where I decided to go first in this episode. So that's where we're going to be heading. The problem with post commentary, I suppose, is that I'm not used to talking about. I'm not used to talking that much about, like I'm experiencing everything for the first time. So a lot of my dialogue is about what's going on and how I'm feeling about things, and so it's a lot more natural. Whereas now I'm forced to fabricate conversation. So I'm gonna try not to have too many quiet moments, but at the same time I'm also gonna try not to talk so much because up until this point I've done nothing but. So for the most part I'll keep it going. And again, this is I'm very new to Let's Playing. This is I think I started end of September. Basically, my first video went up in like the beginning of October, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm very new at this. I'm learning as I go. So even post commentary is new territory for me. So if feel free to comment if there are things I need to improve upon, or if things that I'm doing that just are not enjoyable, or whatever. Just like feel free to give your feedback, your input, because I do appreciate the feedback. And so yeah, right now I don't even remember. The biggest problem is I couldn't even go back and find out what I was talking about because I can't hear myself either. The recording, but you can see that we're opening up this ornate door, and I was super excited to do this also. Some of the other things that we have to do, I was wondering about going through this list, but it feels like it's going to be kind of boring. I imagine that I'll wait because I know what we accomplish in this episode. So I suppose it doesn't really matter what I want to do in the future. Like we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. You can see here that this is really just this is basically just a harder version of the room that we had already encountered earlier in the Soul Sanctum, where or actually I think it might have been to get into the Soul Sanctum. This is just one of those same enemies. I honestly was expecting I remember during this fight I was expecting more of them to jump out. Like it turns out I think like one of these, and then those ghosts were popping out. I was waiting for more of them to come. Like there'd be 2 or 3 that just pop out, and I remember rushing, killing, trying to get him down or at least hurt, so that if more popped out, then I wouldn't have to deal with 2 for very long. And there are times I'm going to wish I knew what I was talking about. I have no idea. Well, let's see. Yeah, I just don't remember. I wish I remembered what I was saying. Looking at my list here, some of the more interesting things. Actually, no, this is what I was waiting for. I wasn't sure how long I was going to speak there. I guess in this, I'm also learning how my chatting style. But you can tell this is a shaman that seems to be attached to this chair, which is super grim. Like this is a it didn't even occur to me until it didn't actually. I remember being afraid that this was like a boss battle or something like that. That something was going to go on here, so I waited a second. But it didn't occur to me until afterward what this actually was. Yeah, there you go. Shade Soul, an upgraded version of our. I keep calling it Fireball in my head, but I forget what the original was called. It's something like Actually, I don't even remember what it is. I just always think of it as like a fireball. but we got an upgraded version. So if you for something really great for the next playthrough, and it the one thing that I failed in on my my speed run to get back to where I was I completely forgot not to do anything that I had done in this episode. So I picked up the elegant key, and so by the time that I got here, I got that. And then afterward, I used it on the Soul Master, and then remembered that I wasn't supposed to get it yet, because if I was going to redo the episode so that you could all see, then that I had already done it. So I that was the one thing that I had the one mistake I had made in getting back there. But honestly, it was like, I think probably like a 2-hour scramble, because for the most part it was really just maybe not even that long, maybe like an hour and a half. It really didn't take very long. I played for about an hour the night that I had found out, before I crashed for the night, and then I did like another half an hour the next day. But really knowing where everything is really helps. And I would say this: if you decide that you're going to play this game again, get that elegant. Stopping off at Crystal Peak to get the shopkeeper's key is super helpful, just so that you can get that upgrade to your I forget what it's called. I still don't recall. As soon as possible. So I remember being like all excited now, because even though I'm basically just like looking around again. I think that I remember being super excited to open up the next one, because I was so pleased with getting that upgraded spell. It's kind of interesting to watch myself play. Like, I watch it with I watch my own videos all the time, but it's interesting in this case, because in this case I have no idea what I was actually talking about, so it's almost closer to what you guys see. Whereas when I watch myself back, I remember what I said, so as I'm saying it, I'm remembering having said it. But now it's like, it's all just a mystery.
Velmi Ardred. Gachael Liasoken. Velmi Ardred. Velmi Ardred. Helma Delker.
Here we go. Using the simple key, this little grate pops up. And then it suddenly occurred to me that on my map, it looked like this was open, but there's no like indication on the map that that it's a locked door. It wasn't until I think it wasn't until I saw this that I remembered that it's actually locked up and that we can't actually access it yet. So down we go. Into the sewers, the Royal Waterways. So this was I remember this being interesting. Like I don't know why it makes sense that would be the sewers, but it just wasn't what I was expecting. I guess just because of the nature of there being bugs, of that this world is inhabited by bugs. I suppose I thought that going down was almost going to be the equivalent of going up. You know, like that maybe like going up was the soul center, going down is like the residential areas of the city. Because when you're already under the ground, what is more down, you know? And I can't remember if I already was hearing the noises. I think I wasn't yet. Unfortunately, the way that I'm doing this post commentary, I can't actually hear the audio of what's being played, which the next time I do this, now that I'm already in this, I've already come too far. But going forward, I'll have to find out a way. I'm concerned that if I try to play the video, because I can see what the timestamp of the video is, but I'm concerned that if I open up the video in another player and start playing it there, so that I can hear along with you, that it's going to mess with what I'm doing now, where I have the media playing in my recording software. But yeah, this is where I first see these things, and they're awful. Like, they break into pieces, and you go, oh, like all that noise, all that gnashing of teeth, and all of the noises, the horrible noises that they make. And like, you hit it like twice, and it like cuts in half, and you're just like, oh, okay, well that was done. And then the pieces start attacking you. So, I remember, I forget. I think this is this the? Oh yeah, this is not the first time that we've seen those, but they're more dangerous here because it's more confined. This area in my head, it took me a little while to get through it, but I remember, in retrospect, I suppose is how I should word this, it really is not that big of an area. As of the end of this episode, we have not explored all there is to explore, though I think we've come close. Again, there's no way of me knowing because the nature of a blind playthrough is that, you know, I can speculate, but the truth is I have no idea. I'm always going into everything blind. Unfortunately, I'm going to warn you guys ahead of time, and I'm going to try and talk through a bunch of it. There's an area up ahead that's not terribly far off, where I fall down and have to climb back up to try again like 3 times, and every time it's for a silly reason. Like in fact, I think the first 2 times it was the same stupid reason, that I was just like chasing an enemy to kill it, and the pathway. The gap in the pathway that you can fall through, it blends a little with the background. So I did it the first time, and then the second time when I went to kill the same enemy, probably I fell again. So you're gonna have to see me go up and around 3 different times. But I try to keep even stuff like that in. Like I always debate what not to include. It's really hard, and I'm basically forced for commentators to tell me when things are, you know, not that when things are bad. I don't want you to tell me that, you know, that I'm doing a terrible job, but feel free to tell me like in what ways I could do better. You can see here, this is the first time I fall in, and I'm super disappointed. I was debating actually recording myself, because I could just have the new recording of my camera catching me would be over the past one. But I felt like maybe in the event that you're listening to the game audio and you're watching me play, that maybe you'd want to see my actual reactions to things as well. So this was the most authentic I could do considering what happened. And I'm hoping that by the time I continue, which I'm hoping to continue again tonight, that this is a problem that doesn't happen again, because this was pretty heartbreaking. I was very sad about this. I've been really pleased with how this Let's Play has been going. Not just because I love the game, and I love this game. It is such an amazing game. I'm so glad I got it I mentioned in an earlier video, I bought this game this past Christmas for my sister, as you know, for the Nintendo Switch. Actually, I'm playing it on my PS5. But this was like when she plays this, I can't wait. I'm gonna know when she starts playing it, because I know that she's going to be talking about the music and just the game in general, and I'm gonna just smile the whole time and be like, I know. And I bought it for her blinds too. You know, I wanted to play it for so long, and it felt like something that she would like. She actually had never heard of it. She's not as into gaming as I am, though she does. But yeah, here I don't even remember on the. I'm not even sure. Oh, yeah, and then I found this. So I think this is actually the second. This is the second time I fell, isn't it? Oh man. Oh, actually, I think I only do fall 2 times. I don't know that do I fall 3rd? I don't think so. I think it was just the 2, and I was super embarrassed about it. Which I guess is the problem with blind playing. You never know when you're going to be good at something or bad. Like you kind of I don't know. I've avoided all media on this game, let's play and otherwise. So I don't know what's good playing versus bad playing, and I don't know how easy and or hard this game actually is. For the most part, I think it's very well balanced in terms of difficulty. I think that there are challenging elements, but I definitely don't. I don't feel that it's ever too hard. Which is great. I'm actually kind of impressed and happy that it's as hard as it is, considering it's a 2D game. You know, I imagine it's way easier to make a more challenging boss in a 3D arena. Designing the bosses is probably more complicated because you're dealing with third dimension. But more than anything, I think that when it comes to 2D, I would imagine from like practically that it's very difficult to not make things too easy or too hard. Like finding that gray area is probably the challenge. So yeah, okay, so good. That was it. I don't even remember how many times I fell down. It was super painful that it happened at all. Much less twice. Or 3 times. I really don't think it was 3. Oh no, was it again? Oh no, I caught myself. I remember. I'll spoil because it's so brutal. I remember that happening. I was like, sweating. I was like almost fell down again. I'll spoil this also. I do make it up there. You could see. I mean, I said that at just the right moment that you could see that it's doable. But I was super curious if there was something interesting up here. I suppose I'll say this while me of the past is exploring the waterways and about to loop around into one of the places we came from before turning back and going the actual proper way. There are so many things still. There's so many places it seems like there are so many areas that we're yet to see. Right now on the list is that I think the last time that it was mentioned was actually by Hornet, who said that if you're willing, something along the lines of that, if you're willing to pursue the perpetuation of Hollow Nest, then seek the grave in ash or whatever. And we found that grave. We already found it. We just didn't yet. At the time, we didn't have the I believe it's called the Desolate Dive. So that I'm assuming that leads to another area, just because of the way that she's saying, oh, if you want to know the truth, head there. It would seem weird if it was just like you break into the grave and it's like a notebook. So and we're also yet to explore that place that there is no map for. That honestly, the only reason I haven't done it yet is just because, number one, it's completely out of the way, and number two, it's super easy to forget. Every time we've been in the area, I've completely forgotten that it existed, and that is the place where we are yet to get a map that is attached to Green Path, right near where we first discovered Zote the Mighty for the first time. He was getting like his legs chewed, like gnawed on by a giant mosquito-looking bug. I guess it was a mosquito. It's one of those annoying zippy little bugs with the big mandibles, but it was like a giant version. So yeah, I remember at this point, I was super happy that we found Cornifer finally, because Cornifer, it takes a little while to find Cornifer in this one. Although actually, I suppose it took me a long time because I fell down 2 times. It would have been quicker if I had just made it through those holes. But and then we find out that not only that, but we opened up a pathway to the fungal spores, the fungal wastes, which I decided not to go into because I didn't want to have to refight things on the way back. I figured I'd already cleared out some of the enemies. I didn't want to have to deal with them again by leaving the area and then re-entering. Oh, I will mention one more thing because I'm reminded by the map. Right here is when I first noticed that if you look right above the part of in the fungal wastes that becomes the City of Tears, where you can see that the statue where we put the city crest, right above it. Oh yeah, I'm pointing there with the thing. I'm talking about how I completely missed that pathway. I remembered that when I was racing to catch up, and there we go. I put a pin. I didn't remember if I put a pin, but there. It actually is another tomb where I think that we can use a dream nail. Since I never got the dream nail in my new playthrough, where I was just speeding to catch up. So all I was really interested in was in having the same bosses done, so that in case that one of them was a trigger for something that might happen, that happened in that episode, that I wouldn't be missing. It wouldn't be different. Because I didn't want to find out the hard way and have to start over a 3rd time. Well, I guess start over a 2nd time. And then I mentioned here that the City of Tears, even though we made it all the way up the Soul Sanctum, there seems to be a whole lot of dark, unfilled in area there that I imagine we have to fill in. So there seems to be a lot more going on that we haven't found yet, which is wonderful because and I said it in one of my previous episodes, but not everyone watches all these, I'm sure. This warrants saying again, I am going to be legitimately sad when this game is done. Legitimately. I believe that there's I'm aware that there's a sequel that's coming out that hasn't. I don't know when. Again, it was part of my not looking into any of this. I wasn't even sure, although I've surmised by this point that just from my having bought this game and on the PS Store, that there didn't seem to be the second one, the sequel being out yet. But I think that it's I'm not. Is it coming out this year? I'm not even really sure. But I'm aware that it exists, and I don't actually know what it's called. I know that I read it at some point when I found it, but then the moment I saw it, I was like, oh, I know, I want to play that. I'm gonna, and so I completely just, I guess, I mentally ran away, just fled from anything to do with it. But I don't like being spoiled when I'm that interested in the game. Yeah, so I'm deciding where I'm going to go, and I'm looking at the map to see like what places. There are a lot of times when I'm playing this game where there's multiple ways to choose, and I have to decide on the fly which one seems like the right way and the wrong way, because this especially is the kind of game where I don't want to miss anything, and at the same time, I don't want people to be bored. But again, it's one of those things as being a Let's Player. When you're playing blind, you just kind of, you're forced to just go with it. But luckily, this area is not terribly interesting. I'll say that. It's interesting in design. That I think goes without say, because they clearly put as much care into this as they did everything else. It's basically just a maze of pipes. I'm still at the point where I don't. Well, I'll say this as a side note, to preface. I don't know how long this game actually is. I remember thinking that this game was not going to be very long, but now I'm extremely hopeful, and I think I'm persuaded at this point that it actually is a fairly a decently long game, played the way that I have been. Because I am fairly thorough about searching places, and so it does add to the playtime, for good or bad, as to, you know, for what that's worth when it comes to the fact that it's a let's play. I probably should not be doing that as much, but at the same time, I almost feel like I'd rather be catering to the people who want me to find the things than those who want me to just rush through the game anyway. So, you know, it's when it comes to that, I think I'm content with just assuming that the sort of people that will enjoy my Let's Plays are the ones that want me to be interested in finding things and to be exploring properly. That being said, I also will try not to backtrack too often. I know that that's been a problem with me in the past. I try to, I did it a lot in Final Fantasy 15 when I played through that one, which is also a very good game. That was very fun to play. In fact, I liked that game a lot more than I thought I was going to. But that might be also why I liked it so much. I think I wasn't expecting much from it. I'd been disappointed by so many Final Fantasies by that point that it just, I went into it just, oh, that's right. And now okay, so right. So now we're up to this next boss where you can hear him talking. You hear him talking the moment you come into, like, this area. Like, before you even see, like, all, like that room covered in whatever that is. This time I think I thought it was algae. And I was trying to decide, a lot of the talking that I'm doing is, a lot of the things that I'm saying are basically just that he doesn't sound, whoever it is, it doesn't sound like he's a boss. It sounds like he's nice. Like, I think that he might be, it sounds like more like that he's someone we're going to talk to. I suppose I won't spoil which way that goes. And here's where, yet again, I always do that, even when it's not. I'm always like, oh, it's a boss room, every single time. Watching myself is sometimes super embarrassing, but there it is. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I forgot to check afterward, because whenever I'm always watching the enemy, I never see their name. Like, I always have to check the journal for the bestiary. And like always, I'm just kind of like scrambling in the beginning, trying to like put together like an idea of what their moves are, like how they move, and if they have a tell, you know, what they choreograph, what they don't, or how quickly they choreograph. It's funny actually, seeing this play back, at the time I kept thinking, oh, sometimes the ball of dung doesn't get me, and sometimes it does. And apparently it has to do with how he throws it. His arm is hitting me, I think, not the actual dung ball that he's throwing. See, like there, he just hit me with his arm, not the dung ball went over me. It throws me off during the fight a time or two, because it doesn't hit me a time or two. I opposite feel. There's always that moment where, or not always, but there's very commonly that moment where they're like taking a breather after moving like into what is presumably a new phase, and you're given that moment to either rest or to hit them to get a quick shot in, which will usually almost like immediately reanimate them and they get back into the battle. We get the defender's crest. That I don't believe that I don't think that I checked what that does. I believe that and then this, I still am not sure about that. So this water comes up. I'm right now as I watch that, I'm saying exactly what I'm saying now. That I'm not sure what that did. It basically looks like it opens up a mainline pipe to go up toward the city, but I don't know what that does, and I don't know what that does yet. I suppose for another spoiler in this video, we never actually make it quote unquote above ground. We kind of stay down here because there are other ways to go. So for this episode, we basically just stick to here. And like always, I'm on precarious footing. Always on precarious footing. Enemies fighting me, spikes everywhere, and I stop moving so that I can take my headphones off and scratch my ear. Almost every time. Every time I'm watching myself and I do that, I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go again. I do wonder if it's nerves sometimes, because it is a little nerve-wracking to be a Let's Player when you're playing something blind. Like there's a lot of pressure. I feel a lot of pressure to play well for you guys. I always try my best. And I don't just mean that. I really, really do. Like, I'm embarrassed when I'm not doing well. And I think I always assume that the game is easier than I'm making it, and so everyone else watching is like secretly like, wow, this guy is awful. Whether at video games or at the game itself. I remember this being one of those places where I was playing very slowly and carefully, and not quite so well at the same time, as it turns out. But I remember being very self-conscious of how I was playing, but at the same time being terrified that I was going to keep hitting spikes, and then on top of not playing very well, have to run back here from the bench, which was like 4 screens over. It was like I just remember not wanting to wake up in a different, I guess I'll call it region. Like, I didn't want to be forced to have to like wander all the way back here from there. Like, it would have been just like, the loser's walk, like the salt in the wound after the death. See, like that. Like, I'm at 3. I remember getting super tense here. I was like, oh gosh, here we go. Like, this is gonna be awful. And like I felt so terribly that I was playing badly. Like, even here, like, I don't know why I couldn't get that jump. Like, it's not that it's not simple. I mean, it's not a hard. The thing is, it's not a hard jump. Like, I feel like I should be able to do that. And then that. Oh God. Yeah, this is painful for me to watch again, because like when I fall and it's painful for you guys to watch me fall and have to watch me climb back up, it's super painful for me to fall and know that you guys have to watch me climb back up. Or worse, just like X out the video and be like, this guy sucks at video games. I don't want to watch this anymore. So Let's Playing has been an interesting experience in that regard. Like I've always been I don't want to say eager, but enthusiastic about playing games that are challenging. I enjoy it. But Let's Playing it adds tension to it a little bit because it's not just me anymore. You know, if in this episode when I fell down that when I fell down in the waterways like 3 times at the same place, like it was not fun to have done. The unfortunate part about this episode for me, really, other than the obvious, is that after this episode, I was so looking forward to continuing. I couldn't wait. I was so, when I finished this episode and hit the stop record button, I was so elated and like happy. Like I was like, it was a good episode. Like we got a bunch of little things done. There might have been some hiccups along the way, but I was very pleased. Like I was very much looking forward to continuing and going. I knew that the next episode, I was already looking forward to the next episode. But here we are. Like I'm actually watching myself play while after having failed to notice something about my recording setup. That might have been just as easily as the microphone, cable was not plugged in all the way. To test it, like I one of the things I did was I just unplugged it and replugged it back in, but whether or not that was the problem, I have no idea. And there we go. So yeah. Oh God, and that happens. But yeah. So I finally got that last one that I had missed at first, and I jumped down as always to see if there's any interesting lore tidbit in this. Kingdom above, palace below, servant's path. So yeah, not really, but the thing about like lore of this nature is that it's better to keep it tucked away in your mind to see if it comes up later. Oh. Which reminds me, there was something that, oh boy, I think it was in the last episode actually that I couldn't, oh right, no, it wasn't last episode, but it was the episode where I speculated that Sly is a nail master because when we first met him, then he said, Oro, you swing your nail like a club. And I didn't understand why that would occur to me. Like, why would I think that about him? But it turns out that if it wasn't earlier in that episode, it was in the middle of the one before it, where we had just found Nail Master Sheo, and it occurred to me to use the Dream Nail on him, and what he says is about Oro, and the way he talks about it, in my mind, I don't remember the exact words, but it led me to believe that he might be Oro's brother. Or at the very least, whether or not it's actual blood brother, like an actual brother by blood, or if it's more of like a fraternity of nail masters, I don't remember. I only know that I got the impression that he was his actual brother. That there were 3 brothers who, or was it 3? I forget. Actually, it might not be 3. Maybe it's just the 2. I can't remember. I don't know why I was thinking 3. Oh, right. Maybe because maybe it was because of Sly. I don't remember anymore, unfortunately. But it led me to believe that there were. Oh no, I remember now. Esme. There was a third name, Esme, and we never met Esme. And but that was it. It occurred to me that. The funny thing is that it made me think that Sly was related to them before it actually occurred to me when I rewatched it that Sheo actually says the name Oro. And Oro, I even said after the fact, after we had already run into Sheo and he had mentioned Oro, and about how, something about how it's funny because Sly was commenting on how he swings his nail like a club, and Sheo was speaking in a way that, oh, if that still bothers you so much, then perhaps you should pursue something else. But like, not unkindly. It felt like he was saying, like, because he had found a new passion in life, a new pursuit, and that he felt like if his brother was so upset by this thing, then maybe he should do that as well. I don't remember the words. I'm forced to go by just the impulse of what I felt emotionally from what I was receiving, literally. So, but it was fun to watch that back and be like, that's why because when watching it back, when I don't have to think about, oh, I have to get out of this bramble nightmare, or what am I going to do next? Like, I only have 20 minutes left or a half an hour left or whatever it is, how am I going to fill this time that in a way that hopefully will be entertaining, without all that pressure, just watching back the video to see how it came across. I'm always trying to improve, like things I should do, things I shouldn't, which is hard because it's like, I'm feedback helps more than that, just because I can assume that things are great and maybe they're not, or I could assume that I'm doing something foolish, or not foolish, but foolish, but at the same time, that there are ways that I could improve that, I'm not noticing because I'm just me watching me. For the most part, I try to keep like a.
Make him noise.
I can't remember. I feel like I was very happy that we found corner for as quickly as we did here, but I think it was pretty quick anyway, wasn't it? You basically like hop down into like a. Or I suppose, I'll say this instead of going down that route. I wasn't expecting to find a new area. Not that it was unexpected, but it just I was thinking like, oh, it was going to be more sewers, and then maybe we start heading up toward the surface. Not that we were going to find like another. I don't know. I've never really been to Deep Nest proper, but in my mind, I was almost like, oh, is this Deep Nest? It's called the Ancient Basin, but yeah, I remember being really upset that I couldn't go. Well, not upset, but I remember being like, disappointed I couldn't go there because I'm at this point, just like with all of those places that you can crash through a desolate dive. At this point, the number of places that require something to get up onto a high ledge that you can't climb up because of the angle that they chose to make it, so that you would require an item, but not necessarily the item that we have. One of the items that we have. So we get our bench that I remember being very pleased with, because also now that we have the map, we can actually look around and feel like. One of the things about this game that's very interesting with the map system is that because you can't always get the map, you never really get the map right away. It provides you with this feeling of being lost, like almost, not almost always, but like often. Like I have to wait till the bench, so I have to figure out like, okay, I went left a few screens and I think I went up, And there are so many windy places that go in different directions. Yeah, I remember. I was like trying to avoid that. I was like, I don't want to go down there. I'm going to go the other way. And then it's the only way to go. And there you go. And then you see these. And I'm like, what are those? But it made me immediately suspicious that they're orange, since orange tends to be the color of the plague in this game. Or at least if I mean, I suppose it's possible I'm interpreting that wrong. But it seems like at the very least the game is encouraging us to make that interpretation. So I don't feel that, at the very least, I don't feel alone in that speculative. I don't remember. That's fine. I don't remember actually doing that. So yeah, these things. That actually, now that I'm seeing them again, reminds me of Molech, the brooding Molech, which I suppose also reminds me that he exists. I really need to, so is it or she. These things have like that kind of, yeah, it takes a bunch of hits, but we get him down. And I'm super happy that he's down, because I remember thinking like, oh man, this guy's gonna bleed me of my HP and whatever soul I have. One more of these pop out. I still do wonder what they are, and they look very similar to the blue lifeblood ones. Which in its own way makes me super curious why I'm so curious if we get more information as to why lifeblood, the blue lifeblood, that to me, almost in my mind, like I almost want to be like, oh, the lifeblood is the cure to the plague or something. There's no reason to think that. I guess I'm trying to oversimplify in my mind or something. I take one look at the precarious footing and these spikes, and that they threw one of those at me there, and I'm just like, nope. Let me try crystal dashing across this. Screw that noise. And then we immediately have another one, just not as bad. This one is definitely way better. I remember thinking that the only problem with this guy is that the way that it is, you can't see where they're coming, because they go up in the air, but you can't necessarily tell the angle. There he goes. I suppose I should take a moment here just to say, I'm sure there are plenty of, looking at the numbers of people who watch, the overwhelming majority are new viewers, because as of this moment I have 13 subscribers, which I am so grateful for. If you are one of those 13, thank you so much for subscribing. It means more to me than I could possibly say in words, and it would sound, even if I could, it would sound way over melodramatic, way melodramatic. But like, the truth is, it makes me feel so good about putting so much time into these, because I really do. Like, I'm not very good at this yet, but I'm trying, and I feel like I do feel like I'm getting better, but it's hard to know. But I'm so appreciative that for those of you that subscribed, and the few of you that have commented even more, like as well, just it means a lot to. So that it's almost like, I think the way that I could say it that wouldn't be melodramatic is, it feels almost like I'm talking to myself in a room, and when someone subscribes or comments or gives a like, it's like, what would you call it? It's almost like, I don't want to say evidence, but almost it's an indication that I'm not actually just like a crazy person talking to myself, you know, because like, you know, I'm just doing the best. I'm just doing the best I can because it's so much fun. This has been a blast. Here we go. I was trying to avoid talking about this so much, but this was, I try soul nail, like dream nailing him, and then I go to leave, and it's like, oh, it lets me leave. Interesting. So maybe this is not what I think it is. And then the gate goes down, and then these things come, and I'm immediately like, no. I'm trying to kill them all because I'm like, no, don't do it, because I was like, oh, those are the things that were following me all this time. And yeah, you can see I'm getting some good use of my, oh, and I hit him. I think one of those times it actually felt like, I love this attack because it's super hard to see where they're coming from because there are so many and it's such a tight area. Like, it goes off screen. But you're getting so many hits in the meantime. It's almost like it's like you're competing with him for damage in a short period of time. And like that, you know, so there you go. He goes down, and then it like opens, and we just, you know, it's anticlimactic. We just kind of go. It's like, okay, so that's over. And I remember here was when I was like, it occurred to me that there's going to be more of these. That's why that was so anticlimactic. That there's only one of them. You know, there's going to be more. I bet that they're like, and they probably get harder. Like that one was one. But like, you know, almost like a warm-up kind of thing. And now you're going to meet like his like, I don't want to say brother or anything like that, but you're going to face, you know, more of their little clan. And then this happens. I was convinced that that was actually a boss when I first saw it until I noticed that you're supposed to take something from it. And then I read this and I think, oh my gosh, is this our double jump? And sure enough, it is our double jump. So there we go. We found it in like the most unlikely of places. I was not expecting this at all. I was not expecting this even a little bit. Like when we went into the sewers, I thought for sure, I was like, oh, it's going to bring us someplace that's because like the city's on lockdown. So surely the sewer is going to bring us to some other place in the city that we're not supposed to be, you know? But here we go. We ended up in this dark ancient basin place that we haven't even fully explored. But now will be easier to fully explore because we have the, I think it's called the Monarch Wings. I just saw it again. I should totally remember, but I am pretty sure that it is the Monarch Wings. But yeah. But thank you guys so much for listening to this, and I'll see you next time when we actually play again.